The foundational rule of the natural sciences is strict. Science deals exclusively with the physical universe. It measures matter and it measures energy. The entire validity of hard science relies on the ability to quantify those physical elements using tools that yield objective, undeniable data. This creates an epistemological paradox. The human experience, our thoughts, our consciousness, our capacity for prejudice, and our creativity exists outside of those boundaries. They are neither matter nor energy. If you cannot place a thought on a physical scale, and you cannot measure consciousness in joules, how can anyone claim to scientifically study the mind? This is where we arrive at the formal definition of psychology. It is the scientific study of the mind and behavior. To be recognized as a valid science, the discipline has to translate the unobservable internal phenomena of the mind into concrete real-world data. Psychology bridges this gap by anchoring the invisible mind to the observable world. It looks past the abstract thought and measures the biological brain states and physical behaviors that those thoughts produce. That process of anchoring relies on the empirical method. This is a strict system of acquiring knowledge based entirely on direct observation and physical experimentation. It does not accept conclusions drawn solely from logical arguments, and it completely ignores the unverified opinions of previous authorities. To see the difference between a flawed idea and a scientifically valid one, consider a classic textbook analogy involving a singing bird. Hypothesizing a bird sings because it's happy is rejected by the empirical method. It fails because we cannot objectively measure a bird's emotional state. Instead, researchers must shift to a valid model, perhaps proposing the bird sings due to a measurable biological brain state. Studying human psychology offers a distinct advantage over animal biology. Human subjects can actually communicate. They possess the ability to self-report their internal states. When a subject tells a researcher they feel happy, that self-reporting adds a crucial layer of measurable data. It forms a bridge between the physical firing of biological brain states and the subjective conscious experience. Psychological science requires this strict empirical standard. If a phenomenon cannot be perceived, directly measured, or reliably self-reported, it cannot be tested. Empirical data is processed through the strict scientific method. It starts with a testable hypothesis. Researchers carry out experiments to validate it. When consistently supported by evidence, it becomes a broad scientific theory. Finally, results are published so others can attempt to replicate the findings. Applying this rigorous cycle to the human mind is a relatively recent development. Before the late 1800s, the workings of the mind were strictly the domain of philosophical debate. Psychology emerged by merging two distinct branches of science. On one side, behavior has neurological roots, making psychology a natural science. On the other side, human behavior is deeply influenced by social interactions, making it a social science. The modern discipline combines both frameworks. This dual nature makes the field an academic bridge. It requires students to synthesize hard biological mechanics with complex, unpredictable social realities. Often, students take their first psychology course because they have a desire to help people, or they want to figure out their own behaviors. While self-discovery is certainly a byproduct of the coursework, the primary academic value of a psychology education is rigorous training in scientific literacy. We live in an information environment filled with competing facts, many of which are specifically designed to mislead the public. Navigating this requires critical thinking, the active application of a specific set of skills to evaluate the reliability and usefulness of information. Psychology students develop specific evaluative skills. This begins with maintaining an attitude of skepticism. Before assessing outside information, researchers must account for their own flawed perceptions and internal biases. They then apply logical thinking and rely on objective observation. These habits, skepticism, bias recognition, and logical deduction, provide the scientific literacy needed to parse noise from signal. This versatility explains why the discipline grants about 6% of all bachelor's degrees in the United States. The ability to critically evaluate evidence has served as a foundation for individuals who have achieved success in fields far removed from clinical practice. Facebook creator Mark Zuckerberg, for example, studied psychology. Television personality and political satirist Jon Stewart also chose this major. Academy Award-winning actress Natalie Portman holds a degree in the discipline. Legendary filmmaker Wes Craven also used this academic training to inform his work. Understanding the interplay of our biology, environment, and experiences provides a framework for navigating any complex system where human behavior and data intersect. Psychology offers a rigorous scientific framework for questioning exactly how we know what we know.